It's 50,000 years ago. You're sitting by the fire, and across the flames there's someone. You've never spoken. There are no words for date, no app, no second chance in another town. Your whole future, whether your bloodline survives at all, depends on what happens in the next few minutes. So, how did you choose? And why does that ancient decision still control who you fall for today? Let's start with what was actually at stake. For modern humans, picking the wrong partner means heartbreak, a bad year, a messy breakup. For your ancestors, it meant something colder. If you chose someone who couldn't survive the winter, your children didn't survive it either. If you chose someone the group rejected, you could be left to face the dark alone. Choosing a partner wasn't romance. It was the single most important survival decision a human ever made. And evolution did not leave that decision to chance. The first thing your ancestors were reading, without knowing it, was health. Before medicine, before doctors, your body had to diagnose a stranger across a fire in seconds. And it did it through signals you still respond to today. Clear skin, symmetrical features, bright eyes, strong hair. These weren't beauty standards, they were medical reports. A symmetrical face meant the body had grown without disease or starvation. Smooth skin meant no parasites. To an ancient human, attraction was just the brain quietly scanning for a partner whose genes could survive. But here's what's fascinating. Your ancestors weren't just reading faces, they were reading something invisible. In 1995, a biologist named Klaus Wiedekind ran an experiment at the University of Bern. He gave a group of men plain t-shirts and had them wear the same shirt for 2 nights. No soap, no cologne, nothing. Then he had women smell the unwashed shirts and rate them. The results were strange. Each woman preferred the scent of men whose immune systems were the most different from her own. They weren't smelling cleanliness. They were smelling genes. A partner with a different immune system means children who can fight off more diseases. Your ancestors couldn't see immunity, so evolution let them smell it. So health was step 1. But health alone didn't make you a good partner. Because survival wasn't an individual sport. It was a team sport. And ancient humans chose partners the way you draft a teammate when your life depended on the game. This is where it gets surprising. We imagine cavemen choosing the strongest, most aggressive mate. The evidence says the opposite. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, like the Hadza of Tanzania and the Kung of the Kalahari, asked both men and women directly what they wanted in a partner. The top answers weren't looks or strength. They were character, kindness, intelligence. The women wanted a good hunter who actually shared his kills. The men wanted a woman who was hardworking and skilled. Because in a world with no police and no contracts, the most dangerous thing you could do was tie your life to someone selfish. A beautiful partner who let you starve was a death sentence. A loyal one who fed your children was everything. And men had to prove it. In many hunter-gatherer societies, a man couldn't simply claim a wife. He had to earn her through something called bride service. He would hunt for her family, provide meat, demonstrate over months that he could feed the children he hoped to have. It wasn't a wedding. It was a job interview that lasted years. The woman and her family were watching. Could he provide? Was he reliable? Would he stay? Choosing a partner wasn't a moment. It was a test. Which brings us to the part most people get completely wrong. You did not choose alone. In modern life, your partner is your private decision. For your ancestors, it was the group's decision too. In a band of 30 people, every pairing reshaped the entire tribe. Alliances, bloodlines, who would share food with whom. So parents, elders, and relatives all had a say, sometimes the final say. Anthropologists have found that in many foraging societies, marriages were arranged or heavily influenced by family long before romantic love entered the picture. The tribe was choosing too, because the tribe had to live with the result. But there was one rule the group enforced above all others. You did not pair with your own. Incest avoidance is one of the oldest human instincts, and evolution built it directly into your development. In the 1890s, a researcher named Edvard Westermark noticed something. People who grow up together in early childhood almost never feel attraction to each other later, even when they aren't related at all. Your brain quietly tags the faces you were raised alongside and files them as off-limits. This is the Westermark effect. It's why the people you grew up with feel like family. And it's how ancient humans avoided the genetic disaster of inbreeding without ever understanding genetics. So let's put it together. Across the fire, your ancient self is reading everything at once. Health in the skin, genes in the scent, character in how they treat the group, reliability in what they provide. And behind you, your whole tribe is reading it too. None of it feels like calculation. It just feels like attraction. That's the trick evolution played. It hid a survival checklist inside a feeling. And once two people did choose, something remarkable happened in the brain. Anthropologist Helen Fisher spent decades studying romantic love across cultures, and she found it everywhere, in every society on Earth. Love isn't a modern invention. When ancient humans paired, their brains flooded with dopamine, the chemical of obsession and focus. Then, over time, oxytocin and vasopressin, the chemicals of deep attachment. This was evolution's way of gluing two people together long enough to raise a child through its most fragile years. Love, the most human feeling we have, was built as a survival tool. Then, about 10,000 years ago, something changed. Humans began to farm. And farming created something that had never existed before: property. Suddenly, there was land to own, herds to inherit, wealth to pass down, and partner choice stopped being about survival and started being about assets. Marriages became contracts between families, alliances between tribes, a way to merge land and power. For thousands of years, who you married was decided by what you owned, not who you were. Love and choice became luxuries most people couldn't afford. And then, in the blink of evolutionary time, it flipped again. Today, you have something no human in history ever had: total freedom. You can choose anyone. You can scroll through thousands of faces in a single night. No tribe, no parents, no bride service, no limits. The ancient checklist still runs underneath, reading symmetry, scent, status, kindness, but now it runs against an endless feed of strangers it was never designed to handle. Your ancestors chose from a handful of people they knew their entire lives, with their whole tribe helping them get it right. You choose from millions of people you'll never meet, completely alone, in the dark, by the light of a screen. They had almost no options and a community to guide them. You have infinite options and no one. And somehow, surrounded by more potential partners than any human who has ever lived, we have never felt more alone. For 300,000 years, choosing a partner was the tribe's greatest project, a decision so important that an entire community shaped it, a feeling so powerful that evolution disguised survival as love. We traded all of that for a swipe, and the checklist your ancestors wrote by the fire is still in there, still scanning, still hoping you'll find the one face in the crowd worth keeping warm.